Mr. Duncan?
I'm going to open the floor to questions. There isn't actually a formal presentation.
Oh, wow.
I do have one question. Someone asked us what the difference between a basic and an extensive audit is. I'm not sure extensive audit is an actual term.
I don't know what you call an extensive audit. It's not something that's generally done. I guess an extensive audit would be look at every transaction.
Wouldn't that be forensic? That would be forensic audit.
No, not necessarily.
Okay. That's by
but
law.
that'd be cost prohibitive almost. I mean, that'd take.
You'd have to look at every single document.
I guess that's what you would consider an extensive audit.
And what does the basic audit cover? Just to answer what is a basic audit cover?
Well,
I'm only asking because I've had questions about this.
A basic audit basically is to ensure that the financial statements do not have a material finding. Basically what it is.
So purpose of conversation, what is a forensic audit?
Well, that's looking for fraud. That's not.
It's strictly for fraud, though.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one who's talking. I'm just trying to help you.
That's strictly for looking for fraud.
Isn't that done basically by a law enforcement? It has to be by subpoena. Can you order that on your own? I'm not sure.
Yes, you can order it.
We can order that.
I'm out of topics. Does anybody have questions since we have Mr. Duncan
wouldn't
here?
a regular audit also find fraud?
Not exactly.
Not exactly.
Well,
it didn't in the past when we were having problems with the prior CEO.
The problems, if you got collusion, which is basically what happened here, it's hard to find fraud when you got collusion involved. When you got top management collusion, then it's very hard to do. I mean, that's not exactly what our audit is. It's really to determine whether or not the financials are materially presented. And if fraud comes up, obviously that's our responsibility to report it. Fraud would be more like a forensic audit.
I didn't know that. That's helpful.
Could you let me know about the single audit grant administration piece of this report?
Here comes Tabitha. I don't know if she can get the door open.
Like the additional reports
Okay. Well, that one's
unique to a governmental unit that receives federal.
We got two.
Well,
can you just hold that? We have two members walking in, so we'll hold that for 1 second. And you can repeat the question, Terry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
More?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to call us to order now that we have a quorum. Beverly, would you take the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Chairman O'Halloran.
Here.
Mr. Emerson.
Hello.
Dr. Robinson. Ms. Stone. Present. Ms. Adele.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones.
I'm present.
Mr. McCackis. Mr. Cody.
Here. Jay?
I'd like to make a motion that we excuse Dr. Robinson. She called and said she had something going on.
Second.
I'm assuming we're all in favor.
Aye.
Okay, rather than go to approval of minutes, I'm going to let Mr. Duncan continue so we can let him go when he's finished.
That's right.
well,
We started the presentation.
The question was, there's two elements to this audit. It's basically a single audit. And once you got over $750,000 in grant funds, you got another step here involved, and that's the compliance audit. And I guess that's what Terry asked me to address. So there's basically three reports in this audit package. One is a report on the basic financial statements, which we issued an unmodified opinion. That basically says that we didn't find any material misstatements in these financial statements. Then there's a report on major programs, which is farther in the back of these financials. I guess you've seen that. And we issued an unmodified opinion on that because we didn't find any findings. So there are two reports.
Any questions from the board?
These,
Yes. Let's see.
when you're doing these audits, do you also look at the, like the FMO report and the triannual to see which areas that they've noted?
If they're available, when, I mean, it depends on when they're performed. I do look at them.
Well, did you look at the ones that we have now?
Sure it is.
Okay.
Is there a particular question related to them?
I'm wondering if any of the areas that the FMO report gigged as, I'm not gonna say problematic, but, okay, problematic, were any of those areas at issue in the audit?
No.
Okay.
Amazingly silent. Any other questions for Mr. Duncan while he's here? All right, not seeing any, let's close the presentation. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank
We
you.
Appreciate it.
Great job, y'all. Another cool audit.
Okay, let's go to approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hands. Aye.
Hey, big.
Tabitha, that's an aye.
Aye.
I got you. Look, Pete, I got you too, stuck behind me. We forgot to change next week. And Mr. Mercakis is now here. Okay, let's move into the action items. Mike, you want to start?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First issue is to request the board approval of the fiscal 2020-2021 budget adoption and millage levy calendar, and reaffirm the dates for the budget workshop. The budget adoption and millage levy calendar are approved by the board each fiscal year to facilitate timely adoption of the budget and approval of the recommended millage levy. The FY 2021, that's July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, budget adoption and millage levy calendar is shown in detail on page 3 of your board packet. Some dates: April 28, 2020, presentation of proposed budget and first reading at the regular board meeting. May 26, 2020, second reading and adoption of FY 2021 budget. That's including approval of fiscal 2021 capital budget. And then June 26, 2020, Chatham County Commission sets millage for tax year 2021.
Okay, just a note on that. We also are looking at a change date on that April 9th for the budget workshop.
I mean April 8th.
April 8th, you mean?
Are you trying to change it from the 8th to the 9th? The 9th to the 8th.
Change it from the 9th to the 8th.
Yeah, the 9th is the city council meeting.
Oh, okay.
Works for me.
I noticed it after we talked about it in committee.
I wish somebody would have told me.
It's posted in Beverly's office next to the side of the cabinet. That's how I saw it initially.
No, I'm
Same.
saying, I wish somebody would have told me about the change of the date.
I didn't know we actually changed it. I thought we
Well, we can
were
still
out for
discuss it as
consideration.
that's what we're here.
I mean, I have no qualm with that, but it was mentioned in, out of our committee, my committee.
Yes, and I didn't know until after you had that in the governance meeting that there was an April 9th. So that would eliminate one board member.
Understood. I
Okay.
don't have a qualm with the date.
Pick a date, y'all. Is it the 8th or the 9th?
It's the 8th. It's
The
the
8th.
8th.
It's the 8th.
What time?
What time?
Noon?
1 o'clock, I think it was, or 11.
And this is the, which meeting?
Workshop.
Workshop.
The
Budget.
Budget.
Yes.
We're looking at April 8th at 1 o'clock.
So February 26th is the first date, April 8th is
8th
the
will be the
second.
second.
April 8th.
It's working on their phone. March.
When was the first one?
February
26th
26th.
February.
Oh, I'm not here. I'm in Chicago. So can you just send me the stuff?
Well, we're not actually voting on those dates, those are internal ones, so if we need to
So when we
probably
talking
look
about,
at it. I
so
don't
we saying the
know.
village levy calendar, that's not something we're voting on the action house, so that?
No, we are voting on that, because those are the dates in April and May for the actual adoption before it goes to the county in June. These are our internal dates for the workshops, so they're not
Oh, you
on the
saying
voting
workshop.
calendar. I just wanted to bring it up while we're on the whole budget thing, that we have to change the one date. Well, let's hold the other two until we can get coordination on those dates. And let's get a motion to vote for the actual calendar for the adoption.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, raise your hands. All good. All right, continuing on, Michael.
Yes, second issue to request the board approval to issue the invitation for bid, the IFB, for rehabilitation services for the vessel Susie King Taylor. CAT has been awarded FTA grant funding to complete major rehabilitation work for our ferry vessels. Let's see. Naval engineering design work has been completed, and the specifications necessary for CAT to solicit bids for rehabilitation services on the Susie King Taylor have been received. Services will include work necessary for repowering and refitting the vessel.
So what are they doing to it?
Yeah, I mean, see.
We need a motion in a second, then we can ask questions. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second? Discussion, question?
So what are they doing to it? You said they were repowering? And
Yeah, Jimmy has some details.
Oh, hey.
He can fill you in on the
So,
exact.
there's the boat that's going was the original boat from 2003. It's powered with hydraulics, and it was very loud when it got here.
Real loud.
Real loud.
I remember that.
So what we're doing now, we're going to rehab the drive system. We're going to get rid of the hydraulics and go with shaft and a propeller instead of the hydraulics to get rid of the noise. So that's basically, we're going to repaint, repower.
So the engine was in the front,
It's still going to be there. We're just going to have shafts instead of hydraulic lines.
and it would move hydraulic power all the way to the back.
That's correct.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Thank you.
And this is considered like routine maintenance, I'm assuming that, do they go out periodically?
That's
for-
not
No, this is
That's
big. This is
full.
major.
That's why
really
it's-
big.
That's
Yeah.
why we're voting on this.
That's correct.
Jack?
I just wanted to point out the fact that I rode on the boat and I called Jimmy, and me and Jimmy had a great discussion. He, until this is something we was gonna be voting on, and I'm in true favor about this right here, because that boat makes a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, my thing is, it kind of, when it kicked off, it kind of scared everybody on the boat. So I'm glad that this is being brought forward for us to muffle some of that noise.
Why would you have, or anyone have, a hydraulic propulsion?
Well,
That's
technically,
old school technology.
the hydraulic propulsion wasn't a bad idea. It's just, the engines are in the front of the boat, and you have 4 hydraulic lines with 5,000 PSI going through it, so that's where you're getting your noise from, and it runs almost the whole length of the boat, so. But they were built in 03, so that's what we got when
Yeah, it's
when
old
we
school
got them.
technology.
So,
I remember them.
Thank you.
It's more powerful. Back in 03.
You can rev it up.
But in 2020, we got
Gotta
to
slow them down.
But I appreciate you, Jim. Thank you.
When will our new ferry be in service?
The one we already rehabbed is in service.
Okay, everything.
The other rehab, yes.
And we have, that's another issue.
Yeah.
Can we go
Okay,
ahead and
we
move
have a motion and a
move the
second.
motion? Yes, sir.
Do a good raised hand for all those in favor of the rehab on the ferry? Unanimous, okay. Next item.
Yes, next item, to request board approval for revisions to CAT's procurement policy and procedure manual. CAT's current procurement policy and procedure manual needs to be updated in order to incorporate additional information due to FTA recommendations and regulation updates. The procurement policy and procedures manual was reviewed by staff and updated for recommendations by the FTA reviewers. And updates in federal regulations. A summary of those changes is included with this report. No other changes to procurement policy or procedures manual have been made.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions? That would be, you're looking at me like you have a question.
I'm voting against it.
Okay.
I specifically asked for a red line version. I got a summary. Those are not the same thing. So I don't know what was, what went where, or why.
That was included at the end
Yeah, in a summary. I wanted to read,
as a red line
it's
format.
a red line
I
version.
understand.
Why do I remember seeing that somewhere already? Because I know this has gone back and forth between us and the FTA several times to get it down to where we're in compliance with what they want. I don't know if it was anything, I thought I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, and I think, Terry, do you have a little more information on that?
The original draft policy that was distributed in October, and then the electronic version, had highlighted sections of the actual policy that showed every section that was added.
That was added.
And also any change that we made based on FTA recommendations and federal legislation updates, and they are cataloged in the control law. So the highlights were intended to be the red line version that shows everything that was changed.
That sound, no? Okay.
I mean, no. I would have had to have both documents and read them simultaneously to figure out what I was, to figure it out.
I'm not sure, because
The document's too big. It's just, the document's too big. It's
they all
very
are,
simple to click red line and click it off.
We can ask for that as our next version of.
I asked for it 3 times.
I honestly don't remember. I'm not saying you didn't.
I know, I'm just saying. Plus, it's not like I don't always ask for a red line version.
Mike's writing it down so we know it's down. I thought we saw that, and I mean, I understand the reasoning you wanted.
I also asked for us to verify if the format we were using was correct, because I didn't believe some of the policy formats were accurate based on ISO provisions. So, and I went and I looked at other policies and they were formatted differently. So I specifically asked, are we using the correct format? Because I don't believe that just because you put a signature line at the bottom, that's the correct format.
Anybody have a response to that? I'm not sure what.
Signature line at the bottom of what document?
Whenever, when y'all do a policy, it's just on there and there's a signature line.
So you're talking about the overall general policies with the signature line at the bottom?
Yes. I believe that whole policy book is wrong based on what I learned in HR on policy development. So I asked for somebody to verify, and nobody said.
Jay?
And to follow up what Commissioner Odell is saying, first off, when is this document due to be turned in?
It's late.
It's late.
No, it's due February 3rd or 4th.
It's not late. There was one change that was requested with the September 2019 Comprehensive Triennial Review, and that has been made. We have a submission deadline to support that we made that change in the policy. If the board's not comfortable with approval, we can send the draft with a note that the board is still reviewing and will approve as revised later with our February 3rd submission to the FTC.
Is that a motion to take precedent?
What's that?
So they'll take a draft and they'll see that we've made the recommendation, and as soon as the board either approves as is or approves with their revisions and modifications, we send that action to the FTA.
My only point is the
I have
draft.
a question.
Well,
What will happen if we don't send it back approved?
The
Does it affect
FTA
our
has an
FTA funding?
electronic monitoring system called the O-Track system, and it's not something we have access to, but that's how they keep up with the findings. So they will either accept the draft without approval, or they will say they've sent the document, but we want the board to approve it, and it'll roll to a pass-through finding.
I got you.
But they will accept the draft, and we
As
will get
unapproved.
feedback from them as to what they want us to do from that point forward.
With that statement, then I'm gonna be in contingency with Commissioner.
No, does it affect us anyway in grant funding?
If we don't get the review closed and what the FTA determines to be a reasonable amount of time, worst case scenario, yes, they suspend our ability to draw grant funds.
So,
We have always done
Oh, sorry.
what they ask us to do, and they will either take the draft as staff efforts to address the deficiency, or they will send us an email that says this deficiency remains open until the board approves your policy.
All right.
that seems like a reasonable
I think so.
compromise between, I think, getting a red line. Although I do, in the future, I like how this is laid out, personally, more than a red line, because it has comments over here as well, which allow me to see why the changes were made instead of
But
just
you can
changes.
put comments in red lines.
Yeah, okay, then maybe that would be.
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
that
there's a
actually
whole,
would be-
yeah, you can comment red lines.
Yeah.
There's no issue going forward. We can do it both ways.
Okay.
And it was staff's understanding that the highlighted yellow copies from the policy committee request would suffice, and
Okay.
we can get both to the group
Do you
as
remember
soon as
these?
possible after this meeting.
Yeah, but I do recall, and not knocking the belabor the issue, I do recall we requested a red line. The highlight is fine.
Understood.
Highlighting is fine for me, but
Yep.
I think if that's what she actually wants, because she's gotta make a decision, I
Yep.
think we need
And
to
Dr.
support her
Gertrude
decision.
asked for one too.
Yeah, Dr. Gertrude did ask for it.
Well, if having a red line will allow us as a board to approve this unanimously, then I think that's something we could totally do.
I do too.
Whose motion was
Can
this?
we have it by committee date, next Tuesday?
So who second the motion?
Mike, is it okay if I ask
I
David here?
Sure.
Then, yeah, just.
Yes, I
Because
think we can have it within the
we're not-
next 3 or 4 days by the end of this week. The document exists. We provided it with the yellow highlights and the control log as we have done historically. So we can just
All right,
return
let's
to
have
our
it for the
desk
committee
and
meeting so
process
we
it
can all look
through.
at it.
Yep.
Is that good
Beverly,
with
can you tell me
everyone?
who motioned in second?
Yes, sir. Ms. Stone, motion,
So you-
and Mr. Second.
So Ms.
And
Stone,
I would amend my motion
You want to rescind it because we're not
She's-
really
she's-
going to approve it?
She's gonna amend it.
to continue until we get the information as requested, and then to send it in draft format until this board has the opportunity
Yes,
to
ma'am.
vote.
Yeah, we'll have it by the committee meeting. That'll give us 3 weeks to
We send it
review.
Yeah,
And
does
it's-
does
You
the
gotta
second,
I do, yep, yes, that.
You approve
And is
it.
somebody gonna check the format of the policies that this governs for the format?
That
So
would be up to the policy committee to review and see if that meets the standards that you're referring to. I would send that information to Dr. Robinson, since she
Okay.
chairs that. I know there's a lot of changes she's looking at, so if you have suggestions, every committee member should be, or chairman should be open to suggestions from other board members, since we all don't meet at those committees.
You don't have
I've
to.
talked to her
Since
about
you
it.
said
Yeah.
that, I'm giving you the price.
I'd like to second the amended motion.
Okay? All those in favor, raise your hands. So committee meetings, and then we'll vote on it in February.
And can you restate that amended motion? Beverly?
Yes, sir. So the amended motion was made by Commissioner Stone, seconded by Mr. Edister, that we will continue with this action item until February, providing a red line version, as well as checking the formatting, the formatting for the policies.
And sending it in as a draft
And the
for
draft
FTA.
version.
Submission is a draft.
Submission as a draft, red line version, yes.
Yeah, we have to submit something.
Right. Don't want us to get in trouble.
You would not be submitting a red line version to the FDA. You'd be
Yeah,
submitting
I'm
a clear
thank you,
version.
Ty.
Yes, sir.
Give me a
Yeah,
clear
just
version.
submit it.
Thank you.
We don't want that much straight line.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking about.
It's a
the
draft
board.
and revised policy submitted pending board approval with
Yes.
board approval notification sent as soon as possible.
Are you clear with that?
Yes, I'm very clear.
Okay, let's move to
Go
item
with
4.
that.
Did we vote on it?
Yeah, we
Yes.
did already.
Okay.
We good with that?
And this is what we'll get straightened out in these committees as to what we actually want when we get reports.
Okay.
Because everybody likes it differently, as we know. How you're counting. Okay.
It's the Magnificent Seven.
7 of them.
At the what?
It's actually everybody that's available.
Okay.
We're only missing one.
Okay, Mike. On to,
Yes, last action
Pilot
item.
program.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To request board approval for a 6-month pilot program for paratransit eligible riders who complete the travel training program, allowing graduates to ride CAT's fixed route buses for free. According to a variety of travel training agencies, a common thread and benefit to the travel training program is a sense of freedom and independence for the trainee. The travel training program will provide our paratransit customers with another transportation option. Utilizing fixed route eliminates the need for reservations and offers the trainee with flexible choices for their continuing needs. So staff recommends the board approve a 6-month pilot program for travel training for eligible paratransit customers, allowing them to ride for free. If approved, staff will begin promoting the pilot as soon as possible, utilizing current customer base that has already shown an interest. Target implementation could take place as early as February 17, 2020. The 6-month pilot program allows staff to track participation and report results and recommend programs continuation or discontinuation after the period is ended.
okay, do I have a motion?
I move for board approval.
Second.
I got discussion though.
Yep.
I appreciate we taking the time to do this as a 6-month study. However, I want to make sure we do this as a 6-month study. We progress every month to kind of get an observation of what's going on and not wait till the 6th month to give me a full analysis of 6 months. If we do it every month, that'll help us see what we need to work on and grow toward doing, because at the 6th month, I want to make sure we're going to vote to continue it or discontinue it as a program. So I just want to make sure we are clear we do this on a month-to-month basis and we bring feedback every single month.
Yeah. Can we have that added to the summary reports of the month on ridership?
Yeah, I mean,
We're account for that. And when does the Title VI have to be performed? If it's a 6-month, we have to do that after the 3rd month? Terry? Sure.
So the pilot program is allowed to run up to a max of 6 months. Statistically, we'd like to have data from at least 3 months to project an annual and a future impact. So after the data is collected for 3 months, the planning staff will do the required Title VI analysis to determine any disparate impact. Then that will give us month 4 to do the analysis, 5 to bring it to committee, and month 6 for a backup to get it through committee and board approval. That's the internal timeline.
I appreciate that, but I want month 4, we have a report. And on the 3, I'll give you the 3 months. That's
Yeah,
fine.
Mike, I think Mike is going to add a monthly update.
Yeah,
Okay.
to the board report.
To the board report.
No, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
compliment
that's
what you
out,
just
yeah,
said.
the Title VI is outside of that. We wouldn't want to do an analysis on 1 month's data and project it.
No, it's not for projection, but just so we
Yeah.
can see observation
separate
of how
things,
this
yes,
program is
sir.
working.
Just to clarify, what are we measuring?
Users.
Users?
As far
If
as
we
I know,
was
is
going to
there
say something's a
anything
free service, you need to know how many people we're providing the free service for. Or what kind of impact it's going to have.
And we can track that with our current system?
Yes, so it will be users from a service delivery monthly reporting standpoint, but for Title VI, any fare change, whether it's an increase or a decrease, and this is a decrease for a certain group because we're reducing the fare from $1.50 to 0, has an extra Title VI disparate impact analysis that has to be completed before you make a permanent change.
And to piggyback on that, I'm going to be for it heavily, is I want to go ahead and start looking at the term as far as we talked about it in committee, so I said I was going to say it here, about free fare altogether as far as fixed routes is concerned, because it's a lot of public opinion that's asking for free fare, and I want to do a fair analysis of what fare free really looks like, because it might work in Kansas City, and Kansas City was the city you bring up, but it may not work in Chatham. And so to understand that, I want to see this data be the catalyst to say, okay, what can we do as far as expansion into fare free as far as fixed routes is concerned, or even a reduction in fare from $1.50 to $1, because I even think that personally, if you reduce it from $1.50 to $1, that would actually save time, because the person's not trying to scramble that change to get the extra change for that 50 cents. And that's just, I just want to say my observation to the fare free.
And the other thing, are we tracking the veterans usage?
Yes.
Do we have a way to track that? Is that on our reports now?
Tricia,
Okay.
she'll speak about that.
The other thing I'd like to see done too is a customer service feedback. I agree to see how positive or negative the rest of the public is with this idea. Because as soon as you give lower fees for somebody else, someone's going to say, well, why don't I get it?
For the travel training?
For the travel training. People are going to notice that someone's paying less, and there's going to be complaints, but I think we should track positive and negative.
Well, I'm glad we've been working on this for almost a year. I'm glad we're starting to move forward on this. So.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
And I apologize.
Go ahead, Helen.
I share your concerns, but I also think that whatever we start, I don't think we can change it in midstream. I think it's going to be very difficult to say, okay, we're going to do it for free, and then 6 months later, oh, it's not free anymore. So I think we need to be a little bit consistent. We need to be consistent in whatever we choose.
Right. Partly what this is for is to reduce the paratransit usage.
I understand, but
they'll
the
be
average
paying on that if they switch. Yeah.
The
They don't
average
understand
person getting on the bus has no clue
that. I know.
as to what the goal is here.
And that'll be advertised on our website. I'm assuming it'll be out there that we're
But we put it, and I hear what you're saying.
Well, I know,
we put it out there as a 6-month pilot program. If it does not work and it changes, this is a pilot program. That's what we have.
I understand. It's just that the concept of, well, it was free and now you're going to charge. I just think that that's going to create some problems. That's all.
And we really don't have a full figure on how many people will actually be able to use the system.
And
as we know, a lot of our bus stops are not ADA accessible. There are no curbs, there's no sidewalks, there's no shelters, so it's going to be a limited group. I don't know what the number is. I don't know. We'll get an idea of what it will be. I know we have some that use it already at half fare, so they'll probably be very happy that we're going to no fare, particularly BAM.
Just one final. I
Sure.
think again the numbers that we're going to be seeing in the report. Let's maybe spend some time thinking about what those numbers are. If it's just a number, it provides not a lot of context. So maybe how many people are graduating, how many rides, are those the same people riding all over the time, or different people?
If we give the paratransit and those two in kind of a comparison chart, we can get an idea.
Numbers
of the
that can help us
transfer
understand how it's working.
And actually, the people with them will be paying the regular fare. If they bring a companion or another person with them, they will not be on the fare free as far as I know.
And Mike, for the record, I'm going to ask for this to be, if I can get it a clip separate, because I'm going to keep a track on this right here.
Yeah, we can put
because,
a little
what I do is
space.
we put it and we say it's on the report, and I understand it's on the report, but I'm tired of we vote for something and it's on the report, and I don't always
Yeah, I
go
would
down
like
and
to
get a
see
chance
it.
to look at the full report.
I would like to see it added to that paratransit statistic so we can see where we're getting our changeover as part of that report. So when we look at paratransit, we're getting right to those numbers.
Well, I don't think if we have any other questions, can we go ahead and move forward and vote?
I saw Pete.
I'm sorry, Pete.
Pete's got a hand up.
You know, when a board member makes a suggestion, and especially at the next meeting it wasn't covered, or whatever the situation is, I think when a board member, you take James and Tabitha and Helen and Clinton, I mean, they have made suggestions.
See, it's not
And
just me.
it hasn't
Sorry.
always been, taken care of. So we should make sure that somebody is putting that down so that we can have it, so they can see that what they have suggested will be taken care of.
Yeah,
if possible.
Beverly does do that, and Mike is taking notes. Yes, and the committee should start adding this stuff to requests for, because we need to change what we do for the board reports. And the committee should be discussing that. And that would be Dr. Robinson's committee on policy changes. Because we can't all ask for different things. We can't have 9 different versions of every document, so we have to focus in on one that works for everybody. And we do listen to suggestions. We don't ignore them, especially yours, Pete.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? No, I appreciate your comment, always do. I want to know what that clicker is you've got over there. All right, any other questions on the Fare Free pilot program? Say that 3 times fast. All those in favor? Raise your hands. Sorry, I keep waiting till you're doing something. Opposed? Okay, that's carried. Executive Director's Report, right back to you, Mike.
Okay. At this time, what I'd like to do is, we had a changeover in union leadership, and I want to take this time to introduce the new leadership to the union. We have the new president, Ms. Courtney Wingster, and the vice president, Joseph Garrett.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hey! I appreciate you taking the time to bring them here. I know I asked you about it, so I want to see what we got as far as thank you, sir.
All right. Also, we have some new members in finance that I would like Terry to introduce, members of her new staff, or some new members of her staff.
Yep, I'm excited to introduce to the board 4 new members of the Financial Services Unit. First, Ms. Brenda Dice. She is our new planning manager. She comes to us with extensive planning experience, most recently as a director for a town south of us. Welcome, Brenda. Next up is Ms. Hilda Mercedes. She is our new compliance coordinator for programs and will serve as our disadvantaged business enterprises liaison with the FTA. She comes to us with experience in her area from a large manufacturer locally. Mr. Victor Colin is our compliance coordinator of special projects. He comes to us from a neighboring state with extensive experience in transit and running a transit operation. Last but not least, Ms. Ashley Goodrich is our new senior planner. She comes to us with extensive transit experience in the university setting and in other settings, and as parish planning expert.
Welcome.
Welcome, everyone.
We're very excited to have them.
That's awesome.
First time in 10 years that this unit is fully staffed.
Yeah, that's
Very exciting.
That means I get to ask more questions next week.
Yes.
No, they're not coming anymore, that was it.
No, not them, us.
It is easier to respond when you have staff
Input.
to review and prepare the responses. Yes, sir.
Did y'all just start like in the last 3 weeks, last month or so?
Month or two.
December.
Well, we're glad to have y'all part of the team.
November 15th through the middle of December, and as the scheduling would have it, they've all 4 attended at least one and some 2 of the FTA NTI training sessions for their areas.
Anyone live in Starland? Dang it.
You're still not getting any more bus service. Not unless the city decides to run up that way.
All right.
I'll be happy to
Anything else,
answer.
Michael?
I'll be happy to answer any questions on the executive director's report.
You got a question? You got it.
Good.
I would, if you could, Beverly, can we make sure that I get a copy of the executive report? I understand we have these things here, but I'm a
Hard
paper
copy?
person, so can we make sure I have a hard copy moving forward at
Yes.
this meeting?
Yes, sir.
I'm almost to the point of going back to the old binders, but it's only a few of us at this table that understand what I'm saying when I say go back to the old binders.
I love it.
What is a
Right?
binder?
Yeah.
We used to
Is that a
instead
binder?
of these things here, we used to have a binder.
Notebook.
Well, we could write,
But I'm not trying to, well, I don't know, I can talk to my other friend over here, she might be able to help you out there.
I take offense with
Okay.
the old point.
You'll have some hard
That puts me in that category too, brother. So,
Yeah.
thank you, but if you could do that for the executive director's report, I'll greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I got some questions.
Good.
Kind of a lot. Okay, so it looks like this one does not have ridership broken down by the buses and the individual routes, which I always look forward to reading. So if we could make sure that that's back in the report, that'd be great. And then also, I think I was the ridership. Remember the heat map of ridership by month for the last 5 years? I also really enjoyed that.
I did too.
There's what I've realized is that a majority of the numbers in these reports are annual, so comparing last December to this December, and I think that's important, but doesn't really show the full message. And so I'm not sure if there's a lot of information in that report, a lot, and so I'm not sure if it would maybe behoove us or which committee to kind of maybe once or twice a year break it down into some graphs so that we can kind of visually see where how has bike ridership, people putting bikes on the buses, has that gone up or down? Because it looks like it's been going up, but that might just be a fluctuation.
Glad the plan is here to hear that.
And then
I didn't mean nothing by that.
so then this agenda is so long.
I'm just saying, every time we cut it down, someone doesn't like the fact that we took out a report.
Well, my thing is,
The 200-page agenda report.
It's literally, we have more agenda than we do have miles written.
Sometimes, yeah.
All right, so vehicle hours. So I just want to learn a little bit more about what this means. So vehicle hours, page 4, or also page 1,000. I don't know. Has gone up by like 2,000 hours from 2018 to 2019. Am I reading that right?
I'm not sure where you are yet.
I don't know where I'm at either. Page 151.
Where'd those numbers go on the screen?
It's on he's on the operations report now.
So what
Hours,
I'm
miles by mode.
So does that
Service
mean?
board.
Yeah.
We're past that.
So this year compared to last year, there was a different service level on the dot shuttle. There was a planned increase in hours for the city of Savannah paid for dot shuttle.
Okay.
And then the other increase year over year is based on a lower percentage of missed trips and deviations. None of the amounts are over our max planned, but the city did add hours to their shuttle system, and we are doing better with missed trips than we did at this time last year.
Because an increase of 12%, 16,000 hours per month compared to 14,500 hours per month it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of miles. So I just want to make sure that. But then we also, with that increase, are still seeing lower ridership. So
when
I just think there's some really
Yeah.
important numbers here. And then, I think that's all. Thanks. Good answer.
Helen, I'm sorry.
That's
I was
right.
looking down at the
And,
script.
and trying to go through all this, I have a request. I sent Beverly an email on Sunday saying, do we have a board meeting today? I mean, I really would appreciate this more than 2 days ahead. This is a lot of material and to cover, and I have another meeting today that I had to prepare for. So I think we've got to do it better than 2 days ahead. I mean, that's just, 48 hours does not give me enough time to digest and go through this information.
Especially over the weekend.
Yeah, especially over a weekend.
And we do normally have it on the Friday before our board
But
meetings.
there was nothing on Friday, there was no reason why it was late. I didn't even know if we had a board meeting.
And then we've had internal discussions about moving it up even a week earlier to give you at least a week.
I
So
requested that in 17
Yeah.
and 18.
Yeah, we're working towards that. I think now that we have full staff in most departments, it'll be easier for us to get the report out in enough time that you can review it before 2 days or even 4 days a weekend.
And honestly, one of the biggest problems is the minutes, because it takes the company doing them a very long time to get them back. And Beverly has to review every single minute and correct it.
Could we skip a month?
May I interject?
Go ahead,
When I read those minutes, they're nonsensical.
Some of
They
them
have people
are.
saying things that
I know.
make no sense
I
whatsoever
agree.
and is not what they
They're
said.
very arduous to get through.
I usually find that I read my own to see if there are any blaring mistakes on what I said.
Right.
And if we all do that, I guess that's the easiest way to correct them, because it is arduous to read. Like
Well, that, and if
some of
we're,
those
if we're not
50-page
getting them
minutes.
back in a timely manner,
We're
and
not.
it's caused slowing Beverly down, I don't know what our options are, but that's not acceptable to me.
Well, you know, one thing we could do, we'd have to embrace technology to do it, but
Text each other?
Where's my flip phone?
no.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm looking for my flip phone now. So I can
We could
mark that down.
use Otter Notes and let it transcribe while we're in the meeting, and then let Beverly send it off for the official thing, and then she can use the two to compare and correct.
We
I'm
could
not familiar with
also,
auto notes, but if it can
Otter-
make it
If
faster
there's
and more
anything else that
efficient,
we
sure.
need to do to help Beverly out,
Otter
we need to do
Notes
that.
is a dictation system that transcribes in real time, and it does it based on the voice patterns of the speaker. So it would say speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, speaker 4, and then when Beverly goes in, she'd have to assign who speaker 1, 2, 3, 4 is, but she'd know it based on the conversation. So we'd have to all speak very clearly, and it would be sitting in the middle. You know, you'd have to put
Big brother.
a tablet or a phone in the middle of and play it. It's an app.
I think we should.
I
look
love
into
it. I use it all the time.
And you would have to adhere more closely to Robert's Rules of Order as the CAT Act requires you to.
Oh, man.
Recognition from the chair, and each person speaking one at a time and not talking over each other around the table like a round table discussion.
Yes, you have to.
Shots fired.
So let's look into it.
It's
We'll
OTT.
have
It's OTTER.
Okay.
We can have a,
And there's some other ones. That's just the one that I use. But if you Google Otter Note competition,
Yes, ma'am.
they'll give you a whole list of them.
Okay.
yeah, because sometimes they come back very late. And, you know, it's got to be in there, and I don't think we even had them as of Friday. When did
No,
we
we had
actually?
one for the draft.
Well, I'm not sure if she has to use an official company for it to be, you know,
Well, it's probably got to be an approved
but
vendor.
the Otter does it as you're speaking, and it's just, that thing is just awesome. I use it for meetings, lectures.
Maybe we should
arguments.
test drive and see how it works.
I use it for meetings, lectures, arguments.
With arguments.
I do. If I'm arguing with my children and I got all of them together, I need a record.
You don't
And I
use
make them
Alexa for
sign, and I
that?
print it and make them sign off on it.
You don't have Alexa? taping all your conversations.
I don't like that little spy in my house. I took all those Alexa dots. That was nothing but a little spy running around my house.
Can we get back to?
Yeah, we're gonna get back to the schedule. Mike, you want to do service delivery?
I think we were already on service delivery.
Oh, okay.
I
Did we
think
do
we
this
had
last?
some questions.
I mean, we have any,
I guess all I can ask. I guess I could point out, paratransit ridership is up almost 14%. The ferry operation, 5% on ridership. Fixed route is down. And I'll be happy to answer any other questions.
What do you think? I'm raising my hand because I don't want to be out of Ty's order.
Robert's order.
What do you think has contributed to the fixed route? I guess you said it's up.
The fixed route ridership is down.
Down. Which one you said was up?
Paratransit.
Paratransit. What do you think is attributed to paratransit being down?
Paratransit is up.
Paratransit being up. I'm sorry.
Fixed route, I would think lift.
Well, okay, let me make sure I got the question. We're talking fixed or para?
Fixed.
So fixed route is down,
Okay.
and
Well,
you know,
what's
there's-
attributed to being down continuously?
there
Outside of
is-
the national trend.
outside of the national trend, I think there's things we can do to our schedule, build back into our schedule, like the pulse system, and take care of some other scheduling issues, which would make our service more reliable, which would increase ridership. We haven't done anything like that for years, and I think that would really help
We need to.
incrementally increase our ridership, and that's something that maybe the board can look at down the road.
So since you said maybe the board can look down the road, I will be riding the bus next month again. So I will be asking those questions again. So I really want to make sure that when I ask those questions, it's close or similar to what we actually are seeing the attributes to that ridership, whether it's going up or down. I mean,
One of the things we heard from the public was they wanted increased reliability in the service. So that's something we'd like to address.
If you can't count on it, then you're not gonna ride it.
And I'm not going to talk too much about paratransit now because I want to see what this fare-free thing does first before I go too deeply. But I will be studying paratransit because I take note of branding. And what I mean by that is I take note where our buses are, our paratransit buses are at around the community. And I sometimes see them park, go in my house or go in the venue and come back 2 hours out that venue and it's parked there still. And so, and I make sure I take the time to make sure I just don't look and see, oh, that's the same bus. I make sure I take detail as far as number, because all of them should have a number, identifying mark, saying which one is which. So I'm going to be real tedious because we're going into budget this year, and we tie into paratransit. So I want to make sure that, now we got a full year into it, that we're offering the best reliable service we can as far as paratransit. But that probably won't come out my mouth again until April or May. So I just want to make sure we got heads up on that.
You mean the fixed route?
I meant the paratransit when I said April, May. But fixed route, I'm just going to ride, just to be riding.
Okay, because you kind of jumped around after the.
Yeah. Bridget, you have anything you can add to why we have some delays? I know every route isn't fully booked every single minute of every day. Is that why these rests occur sometimes?
It's a combination of quite a few things. Internally, drivers call outs, which they do, like any other industry. They get sick, vacation, those types of things. Also, we are, as many applications as we are getting, our applications go up daily, and now they're online. And I'm getting at least, as they come to myself and to the eligibility coordinator, and I know we get at least 10 a week, which is not to mention what we still get in the mail. And not to say that all of those are approved, but typically I have not seen too many denials. Our applications, once they get in, it is a condition of service, and they pretty much get on the service. I have not seen a denial from our eligibility coordinator in quite some time. So the majority of our applications that we get in are getting approved. We don't have too many that we don't approve. But one of the things that our team is doing is with the route match service that we use is pulling more reports to see where the ridership is heaviest. A lot of our riders are on dialysis, so that is a huge part of our population. And although we cannot prioritize to let everyone know that, but we do try to ensure that we are getting them, and I don't want to say first, because again, that puts us in the mind of priority, but we do try to make sure that we pay a little more attention, I would say, to our dialysis. We have special needs children that we partner with Matthew Reardon and the Savannah Public School System. So those clients, we again try to pay a little more closely, pay a little more attention to those riders. So there are a lot of different pieces that go to this in trying to make sure that we are not prioritizing, because the Walmart trip is important too. Our riders want to get to Walmart, to the grocery store, to get their hair cut, whatever it is that they want to do. And we cannot say that their ride is less important. But to someone on dialysis, that is some of the feedback that we are getting, is that their ride is more important. So it becomes a challenge to make sure that we are satisfying every client.
And Mike, to piggyback on that, I want us to all understand and be firm believer. I don't have a personal problem in anything what we do when we park and anything like that. But I do want to understand that when I'm at home, somebody calls me and says, that car been parked there forever. And so this is a public meeting. This is actually a public meeting. Mm-hmm. And so being able to say those things in a public meeting allows the public to say, hey, we see what those issues are, we see what those problems are, and not necessarily problems, but why we do. Because I don't just get this for CAT. I get it for the county, I get it for EOA, I get it for everything that I'm attached to. And they always want to say, well, y'all not doing no job, that's why you're late. And it's not always what we always perceive to be. And so by you stating that allows the public to actually see that we're an agency and we're trying to do what we got to do to take care of those who we need to take care of. So I appreciate you
and we have
following
ordered
up.
some more vehicles, so we're going to.
And if that's the issue, then we need to be talking about that too.
Go ahead, Mike.
What I wanted to add to what Bridget said, just 2 quick points, is with the reporting we have now, we can not only tell when our peak hours or peak days are, but we can tell when our peak hours are. So we can dive down a little deeper and find out what hour of the day we're busier than other hours, and then we can tailor the schedule to fit that. And another thing she said that I wanted to point out, we're getting those requests to join the service. It's outpacing. It's happening so fast. It's outpacing our ability to replenish our operators. It takes a little time to get operators in and train them and get them ready. So, but we're addressing that as well. We're looking at our manpower reports. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there as well.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's an ongoing problem, and as those numbers keep going up, it's going to continue. And Wednesday is still the busiest day for some reason.
But we got to make sure we discuss it this platform so the public can see that we are actually talking about these kind of conversations.
Are we prepared for continued growth of that program? Is there anything we can do as a board to ensure that y'all have what you need?
Adequate resources?
Really, it's internal for our, we're keeping training classes going. We're getting the equipment we need, vehicles. So, the support from the board, which we've been getting, just continued support.
What about as far as, and I mean cut you off, well, operation as far as higher level all the way down to those people who are driving paratransit? Is it something we need to, as a board, to kind of give a better infrastructure to? What I mean by that is, it's a scheduler. It's all kind of different components to it. Mm-hmm. Are we in working compliance as far as making sure we tap into whatever growth we get?
I would say yes. We are, because we do our manpower report, so we have projections. We know how many operators we need. We know how many trips we're doing a day. We know the peak hours. We know what we need in equipment. The backroom staff is fully staffed. So, like I said, just continued support.
And the big problem we have nationwide is lack of drivers.
Yeah, I know.
It's a very
That's a
unique
challenge.
position.
And is
Fill.
it lack of drivers because of, I guess, the salary range, or is it lack of drivers because we just don't have, is it CDL involved, or?
No, the
what is the reason for
paratransit
lack of
doesn't
drivers?
require CDL, it's just that you have to be a pretty special kind of person to deal on a day-to-day basis driving handicapped people. Takes a pretty solid, and people try it and don't like it and they leave. Unfortunately, it's not for everybody. You can't sort them out before you train them. I'm sorry, Dietrich, you had your hand up.
Yeah, on the transportation service, are the same people that's doing the dialysis and the people that just want to go shopping and things of that nature, are they riding the same bus?
It could be.
It could be,
Yeah, it
based
depends.
on
Yeah,
their
go ahead.
logistics. You know, you may have someone in the same neighborhood that is going to Walmart, and that person also is going to dialysis. So logistically, we do need to put them together because they're going in the same direction. But it just, every day is just a different day.
It's a different chemistry.
It's a different day every day, but that does happen.
Oh.
That does happen.
Yeah,
And we
there are-
try our best because that was one of the feedbacks that we got from our last meeting was 3 buses meeting up at William Street Dialysis.
Yeah,
But it depends on where those clients live, and sometimes they don't understand
they're coming
that.
from.
But we all have the same chair time, but you guys live, one of you stay in Pooler and one of you stay in, on the south side. So it just kind of, we try to make sense of it when we can, and then some days it's just, they're gonna have to zigzag that day. It's not gonna be a straight line.
Can't get around.
No.
Unfortunately, it's a shared service, so there's gonna be a lot of times when there's more than one person on the bus.
And then round and round.
And round and round. Okay, let's move to, any other questions? I'm sorry. No. And let's go to system delivery, Patricia. I said it right, development delivery.
Good afternoon. First, I want to thank all of you who attended our Chat with Cat event, coming out and supporting our CEO and the staff in putting on that event. I think it was very successful. And I just want to say thank you all for supporting us with that event. We're working on follow-up thank you notes to the individuals who attended. We had a lot of good dialogue. Sarah on our staff took a lot of wonderful pictures. And so I think it was a great event, and it was a team effort to pull it off. So thank you all so much for that. If you didn't get one of the packets, please pick up one, because it's a lot of good information on our transit system that will help you when you're out in the community and you might have questions or get questions about the budget or whatever. And so we have created like really short little fact sheets, and so we have extra packets. We make extra packets for that night, and we have those available to you if you'd like. In addition, we have been working with the paratransit staff on the travel training, and we are pleased that you all approved that program today. So we were proactive. We do have a travel training brochure that we can leave with you as well, so that when you're out in the community and you're talking about how this program is available for CAT mobility customers to try to transition them to the fixed route service. So we have that brochure ready to go, and a number of other things that we're working with Bridget and her staff on to promote the program. And then Eric is planning to do a news release on your approval of that program today, so that will go out as well, and we'll get some publicity on that. Within the this month's system development report, excuse me, we are including another great update on the online ticketing project. This is the one that we launched in November. It's going very well. You have some information in the report that shows you from October 28th through January 13th that we had nearly 400 purchases that were made via website. They come to us 24/7, and the customer service team out front, they process the orders and they get those in the mail. Those nearly 400 purchases totaled about $2,200. And Eric was able to look at the period since we pulled that report way back when, And so through January 27th, we basically sold another 119 passes, which generated another $634. So that's going extremely well. Just wanted to continue to kind of give you an update on how that is going. And our other mobile ticketing initiative, which you all approved in December, we are preparing a marketing implementation plan so that once that contract is finalized with Token Transit, we can hit the ground running. We got great press in December when you all approved that project, and we have a lot of inquiries that are coming into us from customers as well as media asking excuse me, when the program will be ready so that people can use their smartphones to purchase tickets and use those smartphones to board the bus. Our marketing plan will include some internal meetings with bus operators to get them up to speed on how this program will work, as we have done in the past. And it will also include info sessions with customers so that we can help customers kind of understand how this new technology will work. So we're working on that, and let's see what else I want to share with you. Do have a brief update for you regarding our veterans program. Remember, that's the half fare for vets that we implemented on November 11th. And so since November 11th, we have recorded about a total of 363 trips. So we do have veterans in the area who are taking advantage of that half price. And I was taking notes about what Terry said regarding the pilot. Remember, you all approved a 6-month pilot for that veterans program. So we need to do additional work so that we'll be ready to go when the 6 months is up, so that you all can kind of make that decision if we want to extend it. But from November 11th through January 24th of this year, we recorded about 363 trips, veterans using that half price fee. So that concludes my report, unless you have other questions.
Thank you, Patricia. I like seeing pictures of people at the Mark run, so that's great to share.
Thank you.
Any questions, folks? We're starting to get the message out, finally.
I do like the idea of the letters back to everybody that showed up for Chat with Kat. And again, great job on that. It looked so nice.
Thank you.
It was really fun.
It went well.
It did. It really did. Is it possible, I was thinking about this, is it possible to put a bus ticket in those letters?
Absolutely.
I just think that would be kind of like,
Yeah.
Nice little thing.
We gotta give that a little cute name.
The pooler people will have to come in.
Yeah. We don't know where they're gonna go, but.
We have to take
But I think if we could do that, that would be a nice way to
You're
just
gonna
sort of
have to
like,
park
hey,
at
try the service.
the Tanger outlet and walk up to the island.
It was great that they were there.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
I was really.
Yeah, we got to start there now. That's great. Then, of course, the folks in Garden City.
Yes.
Oh, wow, you can drop that now.
Well, you gotta congratulate the folks. Always good to see the mayor. Just laughing.
I'm just waiting for the financial update.
Are you waiting? Terry, you ready?
That scares me. Financial update this afternoon.
It's in the package.
You ready for me?
Yes,
Waiting on the financial update.
So the financial update is in the package. The financial revenues and expenditures month to date and year to date are better than budget. The balance sheet shows that with our December transit tax, we paid the line of credit that we use for operating down to zero. It will probably remain zero till mid-February, when we'll have to start using it again as intended because of the ups and downs of the transit tax receipts. They go down in February, March, and April, so we'll use the line. Then they go back up in May and June, and we'll pay it back down. So I will be happy to answer any other questions based on the financial update.
Questions?
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, it's good to see a surplus. 7 years in the making, I think.
This was a question that came up in committee, but it would be, I think it'd be interesting to know when we're talking about grants. There was a question about how are grants found and how do we figure out if CAT is eligible for those grants?
So we get notice from 3 or 4 different sources. Internal staff are members of listservs, and when the FTA notification comes out, it goes straight to our desktop through emails. Also, there are staff at the county who are responsible for all grants.gov opportunities, and they will send us notice of non-FTA grant opportunities. Usually about a day after they hit our inbox, we'll also get notification from either the MPO or our lobbyist who are watching all of the opportunities for us. So when you get a notice of funding opportunity, there is a Federal Register document that walks through who's eligible, what the details of project eligibility are, what the deadlines are, and what they're looking for a competitive application. And internally, our planning staff, together with CEO and the Transit Asset Management Committee, review for any eligibility within the timeframes of the notice and develop competitive applications when we can meet all the boxes and we have a realistic, relevant project. So internal, external, coordinated assessment. If we have a qualifying project or a qualifying need that we can develop to the right level before the application date, then we apply. Our lobbyists help us with final polish on our applications. So, did I cover all the questions?
That helps me. Do we want some sort of like write-up of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you?
Okay, I
write
could.
that up?
I could.
And then just send it to us. And
Send
be
it to
like,
Beverly and she'll
Yeah.
get
Because
it
there
to
was
you.
there was a question of like, are we missing grants?
And the only reason why I didn't bring it up because the person who's named, she's not here, so I'm not.
Right,
But
right.
I know she's gonna want to discuss it next week.
Yeah. Cool.
And I think if we proactive on that.
Didn't that come up with Chatham Cat too? Didn't someone mention that? Someone mentioned that at Chatham Cat. That we might be missing
There
something
was a
about
lady
hub
whose card
zone.
I got, and it was actually
Alicia
a
Blakely?
hub, H-U-B, hub coordinated effort, and she left me her card, and we are going to discuss that further
Okay.
for an application opportunity.
Awesome.
Any other questions for Patricia? Okay. Do you have any old business? Okay, no new business new business, sorry.
We got new business. I sent an email, people. I sent an email. That's my new business.
So the emails in the business? Or what was in?
I think that.
Because only us got the emails.
No, everybody on the board got the email. Okay.
Can you?
So,
May I
what-
suggest, if I may, that you know, the substance of your email is something that probably, in fact, absolutely should be discussed in executive session as a personnel matter, if I'm on the same page.
Okay, because I wasn't going to mention any names, but okay.
Well, I still think that in this particular circumstance, it would require an executive session, which you would need to have a motion to suspend the rules to add an executive session for personnel reasons.
She gave, point of order, she gave enough time for it to be put on the agenda for it to be a part of executive session, number one. Number two, I understand that we can suspend the rules or whatever the case may be, and I appreciate you trying to do that. But before we go into that, before we go into that, can I go ahead and make what I gotta say, which is not something that's for executive session, so if we make that rule, if people leave, then they don't have to come back or whatever the case may be, if you don't mind. Also, if you don't mind, I'll make my point. Basically what I did, I attended the traffic event. Traffic jam event over at Savannah State. Was totally amazed by what I saw at the traffic jam event at Savannah State. And at one point in time, we used to be a contributor or a funder or supporter of this event right here. And there was over 500 people there. And what I learned from a Delta agent, Delta Airlines agent,
Right.
is that a lot of trafficking happens through our transportation systems.
Most of
And
it,
so with
yeah.
that being stated, you know, I want to make a recommendation to this board, and as far as going back and trying to get with that organization and making sure that we can have that presence known about human trafficking, because those placards we have on the bus, it was a story told to me at somebody from at the event said that because of those placards on the bus, a young lady life was saved in another city. And what it was she saw the placard and she texted the person, and the authorities came and took care of her life. So I would like to make a motion that we put aside some money, not a lot of money, but maybe $1,000 toward making sure we can get some of those placards back in the bus, because I think that we need to start becoming an agency that actually starts to support not just nonprofit organizations, but show we care and put money toward those nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, there was, just to add to that, there was also a presentation at GTA on the same subject. The woman from MARTA approached us. She has a whole program that they've developed, including signs in the restrooms, many other places. Erica, I believe, has already got some of that information and looking into it. Mm-hmm. I went to it a couple of years ago, and yeah, it's a terrible thing. And I know we have some present, because doesn't Shalonda?
No,
Valerie.
She's a board member of that organization that puts it on.
I can't see behind
And we've had discussions, Val and I, about the information that we saw at GTA, and so we are on the same page.
Well, I want to move past discussion, and I want to actually make a motion that we put up to $1,000 where we can put some placards on these buses. Because I know he has a discretionary fund. I know we voted on a couple of years ago.
Honestly, I don't think we need a motion to spend money on that. We're going to do it.
Well, I need to make sure that it's clear that we're going to do it. How about that?
Make a motion that we are going to start a trafficking program within the system.
Okay.
I don't think you need to put a dollar amount, because I don't think it matters what it is.
Well, I want to make sure that we're clear as far as what I'm saying, leverage-wise. It was on the buses at one point in time, and I would like to see placards back on those buses as they ride around, because we want to show that we're making a conscious effort to human trafficking.
Yeah. And Atlanta got a very big jolt when they had the Super Bowl.
And when I was in the meeting, they have no problem helping us with the design to make sure that happens. So
yeah, there's a national hotline, and they have actually posters you can purchase through them. I don't think we need to put a money figure on it. You can just make a motion you want to start.
Well, I would like to see that
as soon as possible
too.
Yes.
I make a motion that whatever you change my motion to.
That we start and get the information to deal with human trafficking.
And how soon can something like this happen? Because I'm not familiar with that.
Well, it's going to depend on it's going to depend on getting the brochures printed up to meet our specifications there. But like I said, Valerie and I had a discussion on how traffic jam went, and we were even talking about doing this before last Saturday's event. So I would think.
Let's clear that up. I hear you say brochure.
No.
I'm talking about the placards.
Interior bus cards.
Okay.
Interior bus cards. That's what we put inside the buses.
From somebody that
yes.
They're already out there.
And I know we're doing all this conversation, but Val is right here.
Right.
And I know she's on that. But I apologize to put you on the Ms. Val, I apologize for putting you on the spot.
I got the same.
But that's how much passion I had as far as when I saw what went down in that movement and understanding human trafficking is an issue, and we got to stop looking left and right from it. We got to look at it.
Actually, we have a design in which SWAT, the Savannah chapter of those working against human trafficking, they already have a design in mind for something local. So it would take about 3 weeks for the production and to have them printed and placed on the buses.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like I said, they mentioned in the GTA in Atlanta, MARTA has gone through an extensive, with Delta, actually, to create a plan to do it everywhere, and they have some of the materials available.
Mr. Chairman, may I add
I'm sorry.
As a member of the Savannah Interagency Diversity Council, we do take the time to go to various agencies and organizations speaking about the ills of human trafficking and training employees how to identify or to give them some signs, and we'd be happy to do so here as well.
I'll make sure we talk about it in our governance meeting next month. Thank you. Yes. Now, Mike, could you do me a favor when these placards hit the bus? Let me know, because that way I can ride that mic. Okay. So I can ride the bus and take a picture with that placard.
I just want to make sure he writes the note on his pad.
Well, Mike, you can come with me too, Mike. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I'm all for it. When I heard about them just putting up posters in the ladies' room, so
It means a
girl
lot,
that's in
man.
trouble
It means a lot. It means
and
a lot.
walks in there can use her phone without the person who's trafficking her, because
It
there
means
were
a lot.
103 arrests on Super Bowl Sunday in Atlanta on child trafficking.
And the only reason why I push the issue is because this is something
103.
we used to support, and I think we need to get back to supporting this. And I apologize.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm done talking, Ken. I ain't gonna say nothing.
I'm 100% behind it.
Love the passion. I just want to make sure that we, I mean, this came up literally just now, and I want to make sure that we, that, you know, $1,000 can add up quickly if we, you know, sort of all bring, you know, passionate causes to the floor, that we're figuring out ways of doing this in a way where it's all fair. This is your big passion, awesome, and let's do it. This is great. But if I've got one as well, will I have the same ability to do this?
This is the point I'm going to make. This is the point I'm going to make about that right there. The last 2-3 years, I've heard people at this board make those kind of statements. We supported all kind of different things, and I did not tear anybody or say anything negative toward anybody else. I supported it, and so this is my first time doing this in the last 3 years being on this board, and this is something we used to do. And I'm just asking us to go back and do those things we used to do. That's all I ask.
Well, is it going to require any money? Because we have, right now, if you are a nonprofit, it's basically free to do.
Some of that is probably free because it is a nonprofit company
So in that case, then that solves the question.
Yeah, that's why I said there is
But I want to make sure
issue.
I want to make sure that it's not an issue of us printing the documents out or anything like that. Us making sure that this is something, if it's through the time period, we get it back on the bus through the time.
Well, I'm just concerned when there is no talk about a budget, because what does that mean? So I think if we could, maybe if the motion was to subsidize the cost of putting the cards up, totally down.
And what I want to remind you is 2 years ago, he has a discretionary budget of $5,000 that he can make that plea at any time he wants. So that's already a budgeted item in our budget. So I'm not asking for anything new. I'm asking him to use his $5,000 as this is discretionary. Yes.
Sounds good.
There's a lot of it, and I thought we were still doing it, but of course I can't walk in the ladies' room and see if there's a sign up saying call here if you're being trafficked.
Well, I think if we can
Is that part of
put
our safety
I just want to make sure that we've got, you know, what are we dealing with, and let's do it the right way.
Yeah, we'll have numbers on that by the next board meeting, I'm assuming.
Then I second that motion.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Tab. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Let's go back to these other new business.
Okay, so we're gonna request
You have
an
to vote
executive
on
session.
a change. We have enough.
That's the motion to suspend the rules, to add an item to the agenda, an executive session for personnel discussion, and do we now have 6 present? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that was
We
that
need 4.
with 6, it would be 2/3 vote would be 4, majority 4.
So we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Who motion?
Me.
Tabitha.
Well, Clinton already said
Second. All those in favor?
Prior to the question, because it's a motion. Prior to the question. Now I done lost my thought. Go ahead, we'll discuss it in executive session.
Yeah, we can't, there can't be discussion of that motion.
No, what I want to say is, can be discussion to the motion. My point of discussion is this: we got to get to a point, and I agree. I appreciate Todd bringing that up. But if a board member says that they want to add something to the thing, we don't need to come to it where we have to have this motion hit the table every time. It should have been discussed already. And I know Tab gave enough time for this motion to be part of the agenda. So I just want to make sure that is referenced to be known.
The agenda went out Sunday. We discussed it Monday.
So it went out Monday?
Yeah, her email came to me on Monday, so it was after the agenda was posted on the
But
website.
then in that case,
then you need to amend the agenda.
We need to make sure the agenda is sent out earlier, because she did it in preclusion. She got the agenda late, so she gave the motion late.
Yeah, but
If we get the agenda on time,
went out first, so we're just doing the technical.
If we get the agenda on Friday, then she have enough time to be able to have this discussion. And it
still
shouldn't
didn't
be added
come.
to the
It came Monday. It wouldn't matter if the agenda went out last Wednesday.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say
it would have
is,
to be prior to the setting of the agenda to change the.
how can you make a
agenda.
change or amendment to the agenda you don't know the agenda is? she didn't know the agenda until after
But we
Sunday.
can do it at any meeting. If we decide to amend the agenda and suspend the rules, we can add that at any time.
All I'm saying is we gotta stop suppressing people from being able to have these things where we have to vote on it, and it should be a part of the agenda, or it should be a part of the whole.
Then it has to be in before the agenda is set. Is that not right, Ty? Am I?
No, that's
Yeah,
not
but
right.
the way I understood the chronology of this, the agenda went out Friday, and
The agenda did not go out Friday, went out Sunday. That's the issue.
Right, and I got the email from Tabitha on Monday.
But she can't make a motion to an agenda until she has the agenda in hand.
But
Or
if
she
we're
can't make
talking
a
about,
change
like,
to
the
it.
same. You guys are both right.
No
She
one
can't
can
do it.
change the agenda once it's posted unless we do it as the committee here today.
it's a matter of the agenda going out to the public.
It was publicly posted.
And to the media.
But the thing is, you can't, when do you make your, so basically she should have made her suggestion in the committee meeting, that's what we're trying to say?
No, she could have made, if she made it Saturday, it could have been included on the agenda with an out Sunday. By Monday, the agenda was already set.
We'll talk about
I
it.
think that's,
What does it say?
Go ahead, I'm gonna let it die today, but I'm gonna talk about it later on.
Read it in Robert's rules, because I know that's.
I'm gonna go back to
Once
that.
the agenda is set, it can only be suspended and to be amended during a board meeting. And I'm pretty sure Ty will back me on that.
You're right, and you're not precluded from doing that if emergent circumstances require it.
Correct,
Right.
correct.
And these emerged on Monday, and that's why we're
I'm
motioning to go.
gonna take the notion off until I read it. I got you.
I already read it, that's why I'm up
Oh,
on it.
well, you've
I'm
taken
gonna
your
read
vote.
it again.
Go ahead. I even have a copy of it somewhere.
I got several copies.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
I'm in favor.
And for purposes of information, in addition to the board being in here for executive session, I think you need to have, obviously, your executive director. I think you need to have
Board secretary.
Well, yes. In addition, you need to have your EEO Title VI officer and your HR director
Okay.
for purposes of being able to provide information.
So we're calling witnesses.
No witnesses, no evidence. No.
What is going on?
Okay, so let's move into executive session.
Thank you. I'm almost certain.
Yeah, that's right. Make sure it's right. Thanks, Victor.
Thank you.